Where'll you be going?
Texas?
Damn, son, where'd you find this?
Go on, make it happen.
And now here's Steve and Michelle.
Welcome to Mallet and Michelle on Dripping Springs with me, your host, Steve Mallet and Michelle Lewis, and happy Admin Professionals Day, Michelle.
Where's my gift?
You don't get no gift. I bought you lunch.
You didn't buy me lunch.
Took you to Calaterra. It was a free lunch.
Calterra bought me lunch.
Oh, that's okay. Happy Admin Professionals Day.
Is that what I am today?
You're the admin of the whole company. The podcast, the real estate team, the short-term rentals. You've got it all handled. In fact, I'm going to go away on vacation again.
You know, I get so much work done when you go away on vacation, but then
you're so stressed out.
But then I'm like, when is Steve coming back? I hate this. Well, it's because there's certain things that I'm not qualified to do. And
vice versa.
Yeah. So
you were asking me something about what you do the other day. I'm like, Michelle, I have no idea. You know how to do that? I do not.
That makes two of us. Yeah. Let me tell you. Hey, you know what it is today for the people that are on our live? It is Founders Weekend.
Oh, my gosh.
Can you believe that? I don't know how many years it's been. What is it, 102? I don't know. But I just made that up. But I'm wondering.
It has not been that long.
I wonder how many people are going to be here this year. And it's always the new people that gripe and complain about the traffic or some of the older people. I've been seeing on the neighbors page, they should move it off of Mercer Street. Shut up.
Yeah,
go to Johnson City. Go move to Johnson City.
Go down to Wimberley.
Yeah, just be quiet.
We have a wedding with my oldest son, Colton, this weekend, which I'm very excited about. So I will miss all of the festivities, but I have already fenced off my front yard, so none of you people park in it.
Me.
On the grass. You can park in the driveway. Don't park on the grass.
You're going to get a daughter-in-law this weekend.
I am going to get a daughter-in-law.
Wow.
And we love her. We're super excited about that.
Hey, we need to thank our sponsors also.
Jovi Belterra. What a great place to live if you're 55 years and older.
Not yet. South Star Bank.
Love them. They're awesome. If you need a loan or a checking account or savings account, they're the people to hit up.
We're going over there for a happy hour next week, right? I think it's next Tuesday or something like that. A business.
Yes, yeah,
business
networking
mingle,
thing, yeah.
business, and then Mallet Integrity Team for
real
sure.
estate professionals. Yeah, they're the ones that pay the bills. So.
I don't know who those yucks are, but they are.
You're the one that keeps us going, Mrs. Admin Professional.
You know, that's why the monkeys run the zoo over here.
Speaking of monkeys, Do-Elona Appleby, owner of Monkees.
Oh, look at that. That was a good segue, Steve. That was really good.
I like that. Is coming on today. She just opened a retail store over by Garbo's, right?
Uh-huh.
Which does ladies' designer clothing, which I know absolutely nothing about, but I bet we're going to learn a lot.
I have started seeing more and more newer shirts in rotation now.
I'm on a LL Bean little kick right now. I've got like a bunch of this stuff. So
nice color.
I like
on
the
you,
color
Steve.
on this.
Yes,
this is one of my favorites.
Yes, nice color. So you went on a little trip this past weekend.
I did go on a little trip. I went back to the Grand Canyon for the second time to do a huge adventure, which is called Rim to Rim to Rim, which means we start off on the south rim of the Grand Canyon and go all the way down to the bottom to Phantom Ranch and then climb up to the top of the hill on the north rim and then turn around and go back. And we actually...
22 hours?
21 hours and 37 minutes. Don't round it up.
22 hours.
Yeah.
How many miles?
It ended up being 49. So Holly and I did it in 2019. I was 55 then and probably a little more fit, but learned a lot of lessons.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
that was the last time you went?
It was 2019. Yep. So, but we'd ended up, so part of the trail, Bright Angel, which is one of my favorite parts of the trail, is closed because they're putting in a water line and doing some stuff. So we had this 6-mile detour, which ended up, well, we went across on Tonto, which is not a detour, but then there was a 1-mile detour that took us up the steepest hill of the entire day. And that was at mile like 42. I was so cooked by then. But we started out on the south rim. It was 28 degrees and blizzard conditions, blowing snow. If you're on my Instagram, go look at the reel that I did. It was icy and snowy, and Tiffany and Holly were wearing shorts.
You told me you didn't even sit down one time.
I did not sit down. I figured if I was going to sit down, it was going to be really hard to get back up. So for almost 22 hours, I didn't sit down one time.
Well, I think for the last 2 days, all you've been doing is sitting because I asked you what hurts on your body and you said everything.
There's nothing on my body that doesn't hurt. I mean, my scalp hurts, my toenails hurt. I have bruises on the top of my feet.
Oh, do you really?
Yeah. But with a couple of highlights from the day. One was Tiffany and Holly just were such troopers and just kept going all day. No complaints, no crying, no whining. Holly, who has a very bad fear of heights, knocked out the North Rim where you are going on trails that are 5-6 feet, rocky trails wide, with 1,000, 1,500 foot sheer drop offs, not hills on the side. And she just knocked it out like a trooper.
How many
Super
hours
proud
did
of
you
them.
cut off from last time when you went?
On the North Rim alone, we cut off almost 2 hours just
wow.
because Holly was so scared last time. It was taking us a long time to get up there. She didn't even slow down one time, just kept on going. Super proud of her. And having Tiffany along this time really made it even more special. We just laughed and carried on. And even through the toughest times, when you do something like that, you have these highs and lows. And I told them that. I said, you're going to have some times where you think, there's no way I can do this. And you just got to keep one step forward, and eventually you come back around, eat a little bit. And
I have that exact same feeling as I walk around Disney World.
Oh, is that right?
When I have bought it like a 3 or 4 day all the park pass, and we're like, we get up in the morning. This is exactly the equivalent.
Just get through the gate, and it'll get better.
That's right, and we just
so.
stop to eat. I don't think I sit down ever except on a ride.
Yeah, that's good.
I probably pee in a bucket like you do somewhere along.
I didn't pee in a bucket. I peed up right off on the side of the trail. So a couple other highlights. The sunrise in the Grand Canyon is magical. It's like no other sunrise any other place I've ever been. The whole canyon, it's dark when you start out. You can't see but about 10 feet in front of you because of headlamp. And slowly the colors start showing and you see more and more and more. And it's really cool. And then the darkness. There's no lights in the canyon. It is so dark. If you don't have a headlamp, you're not going anywhere. If it gets dark and you have no lights, you should just sit down where you're at and stop until the sun comes up, because there's drop-offs, there's cliffs, there's rocks, there's cactus. There's no way you could travel at night there without
I don't
light.
think I'm going to have to ever worry about not having any light in the Grand Canyon.
I've probably said this before on the podcast. 3 million people a year go to the South Rim. 3% of those people actually take one step into the canyon. And the whole experience is completely different. If you go down 100 yards even, the experience is completely different in the canyon than standing there on the rim looking over the wall at what's happening.
Any critters?
There. We saw one tiny little rattlesnake in the middle of the trail. It was about maybe a foot long. Yeah, it was really small. But the last hour was really difficult for me. Holly was powering through it. Tiffany was really holding her own. And that was probably the lowest part for me. I call it bubble gut. It's where you stop processing food. Your body stops digesting. Even water's hard to eat. And it was really hard for me. I was really figuring out what I was made of at that point. But I'll tell you come around that corner and see the top of the trail and know that you're done. It is I actually just get goosebumps.
Well, then you had to walk like a half mile, you said, back to your...
half mile back to the lodge. But at that point, you don't care. I
would care. I would bitch and moan the entire way.
Yeah, it's funny, too, because it's about 50 degrees as you go up the last few steps of the trail. And as we crested the top, the temperature dropped to 20 degrees. The wind was howling. It was freezing up there. We were all just super cold by the time we got back. I took a shower, fell in bed. I think I was asleep in 2 seconds.
Wow.
I'm really glad I did it. It was just as special, if not more special than the first time. And one thing that all three of us said is,
you'll never do it again.
We got it out of our system.
Yeah.
We're going to go find another adventure. It was well worth doing it, but there are other things for us to do now. So, but the big lesson I learned about me personally was when we were going up the North Rim, which we weren't even halfway, I had a point where I thought, I can't do this today. And I did another 30 miles after that. So the point of that is when you think you're completely done, your body has way more left than you think it does. So
why do you think I get up every day and come to work? That's exactly
I know. Well, if anybody ever out there wants an adventure, look it up. Rim to Rim to Rim in the Grand Canyon. It is It's an amazing experience. It's one of the hardest and most gratifying things you'll ever do.
That's cuckoo. Well, no, congratulations. I
Well,
think
thank
that's
you.
amazing. And I still think you are so mean because you talked Holly out of wearing any type of tights and she walked in
When
there
it was
with
28
wearing shorts.
degrees with snow.
Yeah.
And you know what? She didn't complain. She said she was cold, but she didn't complain once.
Well, she's a better person than me because I
You would have
never,
never let me live that down, would you?
ever. You know what? You were wearing tights. I would have made you take your tights
I
off.
wasn't wearing tights. I was wearing knee warmers to keep my knees warm because I have real problems with my knees.
Those
when
would have
it's
been
below
my
40.
knee warmers.
Yeah, I probably should have given them to Holly and been a little more
For
valiant
sure.
about that.
Well, you kind of missed because you were so involved in the Grand Canyon trip. There was a whole let them eat cake moment that was going on in the world, or shall we say, let them go to space moment. The Blue Origin.
I heard a little bit about it.
Well, it was the all female crew that launched into quote space, right? And they went up, which is 10 times higher than an airplane. They didn't have helmets, they didn't have oxygen, but they went into the mesosphere. Mesosphere, right? So this is
40
right
to 50 to 80 kilometers.
right. It said 350,000 feet high.
Okay.
And there was a couple other women I didn't care enough to who they were. But Lauren Sanchez, which is Jeff Bezos' trashy girlfriend that had Tits Out McGee at the inauguration.
Yeah, I saw that
Yeah,
picture.
that's, you know what it is. Katy Perry. Apparently.
So did they all pay? Well,
I
obviously
think
not
it was
Bezos' girlfriend.
millions. Yeah.
Was it like a girls' party in
It was
space?
a girls' trip. It was
or
like, I'm
almost
going to
space?
Nashville. They went to space. Katy Perry and then Gayle King. And they've been getting roasted, but it was an 11-minute live streamed journey. But here, Michelle's little, I don't know where my tinfoil hat is. It fell back behind here as I was talking.
Oh.
But here's the conspiracy theories take on this and the inconsistencies. So when this, I don't even know, they don't even call it a shuttle. What the heck is it? This machine came back down. They're saying that the windows that are on the outside are different from what they were showing the size of the windows on the
Really?
inside. So that's one of them. The door looked too flimsy. I don't know if you saw Jeff Bezos was going up there and was going to unlock the door, but apparently they had already locked it or opened it, and they said no. You know, they missed their PR moment. But when they did open it, it was kind of flimsy, so which was really kind of weird. Here's one of the ones that I thought was pretty funny: the pressure difference. They're saying that probably the majority of those women in there had some sort of implants, whether in the face or their chest, and they would have probably collapsed.
Oh my God.
But not only when Lauren Sanchez started walking down the little runway or whatever, whatever it is, the Segway, they were wearing high-heeled boots, jewelry, makeup, tight jumpsuits, and she had it kind of
unzipped a little bit.
halfway.
Show a little cleavage.
Yeah, a little cleavage.
Jeez.
And I saw something else where they said that they went supersonic, but somebody said there was no, I don't really understand what
There's
this
a
is.
sonic boom.
A shock wave or a bow wave. They didn't witness any of that. But one of the biggest things that just have come about was on live stream, they cut to one of the pictures and it was a dummy hand. And so the feelings are, was this filmed in some sort of studio? I don't know. And what is Jeff Bezos going to be pushing now? Who knows?
So you think it was all just a big PR event?
I don't know, but
Social media experiment?
who knows? I mean, you know, the Illuminati queen, Katy Perry, she had some daisy that she went up there, and then when she got off, she ridiculously kissed the ground. But the best part is Katy Perry put some sort of social media post, and Wendy's, the hamburger place, Wendy's wrote, "Can we send her back?" And so they started roasting her. And then Gayle King was interviewed, and she's getting like all sorts of pissed because people called it a ride and not, you know, like a mission. And she's like, "We are astronauts.
Oh,
and
no.
have you been to space?" And she wrote a mission. It's just crazy how the way these people think. So the argument now is, I rode Mission Space at Epcot. I'm an
You're
astronaut.
an astronaut.
I'm an astronaut. I took a Tylenol. I'm also a doctor. You went on a hike, so you are now a forest ranger. You rode your bike. You were a Tour de France winner. We hit restart on our computer here a minute ago. We're IT. But my favorite, he was a former guest of ours, Willem Weiser. He's the one that owned Monkee. And this has been going around, but he posted it on Facebook, and I laughed so hard. It's a little inappropriate, but it's pretty funny. He said, if going to space for 3 minutes makes you an astronaut, well, then I'm a gynecologist. So, yeah, it was kind of ridiculous.
Well done, Willem. It makes me, I actually am not a big conspiracy theorist, but it makes me wonder, Katy Perry's worth probably $1 billion. Are they really going to let her go into space, quote unquote?
She paid for it.
Well, I just feel like there's somebody, an agent or something, or an insurance company saying, no, absolutely not. You can't do that.
Well, a lot of people are saying it's totally tone deaf, and considering what's going on in the economy right now, and this girls' trip for 11 minutes goes up.
That's what it comes down to me, is like a girls' party where they all got together and said, let's go to space.
Yes.
Yeah.
Gayle King, apparently she wears a wig, and like her wig was very secured. But just their hair was like, it wasn't like up, like it. I don't know. It's crazy.
These people that are celebrity like that they've lost the touch with just normal everyday people, I think.
Yeah, true. So,
well, sticking with my running theme from my rim to rim to rim, this was sent to me by my good buddy Javier, who's sent me this link to this article about the Tokyo Half Marathon with a division for humanoid robots. So half marathon's 13.1 miles.
okay.
And the cutoff time for the robots is 4 hours, which is 18 minutes a mile, which is about a brisk walk, not even really a brisk walk, just a quick walk. And the robots had to be accompanied by human chaperones and 21 bipedal bots. So you had to walk. They couldn't like have wheels or anything.
Oh, okay.
They had to actually take steps.
Okay.
Started, and only 4 made the 4 hour cutoff.
Four robots?
4 robots made the 4 hour cutoff. I guess more finished, but it wasn't under 4 hours.
I can barely get my battery to last all throughout the day. How could they get a robot
So that's a good point. So they had to change batteries, and if you changed batteries, you got a 10-minute penalty. So, if you could finish it on one battery, but I think most of them changed at least 3 batteries. So they ran in a separate lane away from all the other runners. The Tokyo Half Marathon's a pretty big half marathon. If they'd have been mixed in with the people running, I think that would have been a
Did they look like people, or did they look like robots?
Some of them did look like people. For the most part, they had arms. They had what looked like legs. Some of them had heads. One of the bots.
Thank God.
Yeah.
Someone had heads.
Yeah. Most of them wore sneakers. There was a lot of mishaps actually. Some didn't even get across the finish line. One lost its head about halfway through, and some just while they were walking just crumpled to the tarmac. It's actually kind of creepy. Like this one here which I think is the one that won. It's all black and it has a head on it, but they had to actually take steps almost like a human would.
Oh, that's weird.
But I saw one. It was going along and it just kept going off track, kept heading over to the side of the.
That would be my robot. You're like,
yeah. Well, the creepiest part of it for me. Was these were those were the dog-looking ones.
Okay,
those are not eligible. At the end, this black robot here ended up winning. Actually, walked up on stage and they put a medal on it. It's a machine. It's like that would be like me giving my computer sitting here a medal because it sent an email. I mean, it's a machine designed to do that. You don't give it a medal. But I think the whole point of that was to sort of humanize these bots, because these companies want us to embrace these things and bring them into our lives. And so they're trying to make them as human as possible and say, that it did a half marathon, it's just as grueling as it is for a human being.
Maybe that's the plan now, Steve, for Afterlife. Maybe you could just record a bunch of random shit, and if something happens
I could just
to you,
walk around your house saying,
and I'll just have the
Michelle,
same
what are you
denim
working
shirt.
on right now?
what can you do to we can get business?
Can you do this for me right now? Anyway,
Michelle, can you go get stuff at the printer?
Yeah.
You're a robot. Go get your own dang thing.
This one here that won, its winning time was 2 hours and 40 minutes. So I did a half marathon in January, and I'm 62 years old and did it in an hour and 47.
Oh, so you
it's
beat
pretty
the
damn
robot?
slow. I beat the robot by almost an hour.
So silly question. Why wouldn't they have solar on a robot? Why would
I don't
they?
think everything I've read about solar charging these batteries is it can like top them off. It can trickle charge them, but it can't. It can't recharge the batteries at the same rate that the energy is being used. I remember somebody asked Elon Musk about that on his cars. Why don't you have a solar panel on top of the cars? And he was saying you can't generate enough electricity to offset the extra weight of the solar panels on the car.
Oh, that's interesting.
Anyway, hopefully we're not going to see that in the United States, but you never know. Robot bot half marathon coming to you soon.
Maybe that'll be my caretaker when I'm older is a robot. Maybe that'll
probably will be a caretaker for all of us.
So I have kind of he's not really a celebrity, but I guess I do kind of have a little celebrity fangirling moment. You know who Dakota Meyer is?
Yeah.
So a couple of years ago, Todd and I were sitting at this Lakeway sushi place, and we're sitting outside, and I like shoot across and I go, "That's Dakota Meyer," and Todd didn't know who it was, and I just jumped up, and he was sitting there by himself, and I go over there and I introduced myself.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I did. I introduced myself, and I told him thank you for service, and that I really look up to him. I think he's a great guy, blah, blah, blah. So those of you that don't know, he is a Marine. He's a Medal of Honor Marine. He lives in Lakeway. He is the ex-husband of Bristol Palin, which Sarah Palin ran for president. And he just re-enlisted after 15 years of being a civilian, which is pretty amazing.
That's wild.
Meyer said he felt compelled to return after advising other Marines to enlist. And so in 2011, Meyer became the first living Marine. This is very important. The first living Marine in almost 40 years to receive the Medal of Honor. Now, there is some controversy surrounding his Medal of Honor, whether or not some of the stories were embellished or not, but whatever. He, 36 years of age.
Wow.
Again, he just felt called to return to service. He's not active. He's in the reserve unit. And he said, how could I ask them to continue to serve and sacrifice without doing it myself? You've got to be who you say you are and live by the standards you expect everyone else to live by. He was brought on by the Marines as kind of like an ambassador for the Marine Corps since leaving active duty. But rumor has it that he's going to get some sort of presidential appointment. So they don't really, maybe like beyond the ambassador.
Oh, okay. Maybe he had to be active military to have this appointment.
Maybe, active reserve or at least. But so my understanding is he retired with 100% disability. That's just rumor mill. So, unless he has disclosed that. But I'm thinking you give up your disability, in the state of Texas, you now lose, I don't know. But he's a firefighter in the Lakeway area, Spicewood, Lakewood area. He also has an organization called, I think it's called Own the Dash is what he has. Okay. But I
follow him on Instagram, and he's got some really good videos, inspirational videos.
Yeah, I have reached out on, I think it was Instagram or something, and I'm sure he has people that monitor that for him, but I would love to get him on the podcast. Hey, anybody listening, if you guys have a connection to Dakota,
because he's a hometown hero, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I just think it would be amazing to have him on and hear his story and like, why does he remain? I know Bristol lives here. She's a real estate agent in the Lakeway area. Yeah. She's dealing with some real serious health issues. I think she has Guillain-Barré syndrome right now, where her side of her face is all drooped, and it has been a struggle for her. So, I know he wants to be close to his kiddos and the like. But yeah, so again, if anybody has any connections out there for Dakota Meyer,
have his people call our people.
Which would be me.
Yeah, that's right.
Hey, I also wanted to say really quick, we've had a couple of people say that they've reached out to us on email and they've had a hard time. So just for the record right now, I want to make sure that you're spelling mallet correctly, because that is usually the way you're not getting to us. It's MALLE. 2 T's. TT.
Malletttt and Michelle with 2 L's
at gmail.com. Yeah. So 2 T's, 2 L's.
And another note, if you go on our website and click on fan mail, you
we've
can
learned
send
this.
us a message, but we can't reply to it. So
Yes.
we'd love to get those messages, but just know we don't get any information from you about how to reply.
But so if you do want us to contact you on the fan mail, just give us your email or some sort of contact information so that we can come back and contact you.
And remember to go to our YouTube because our YouTube's not keeping up. We need some more YouTube watchers. So
well, obviously,
all these episodes are on YouTube.
Obviously, we're really good at it too, so we got.
Yeah, I know. And this one will not be on YouTube.
It will be. It's the recording.
Oh, is it? Oh,
Smart
it's working.
Alec.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's right. She fixed it. Yes, because she's a great admin on Admin Professional.
And
Day.
I'm IT.
And IT.
That's pretty sad.
Right. But not an astronaut, Dan.
No.
So, hey, let's take a little break and get Elona Appleby in here from Monkees in Dripping Springs. Sit tight. We'll be right back.
Are you tired of being left in the dark when the power goes out? Say goodbye to blackouts with Nomic Power Solutions.
As your full-service Generac dealer, they offer individually designed backup power solutions.
From start to finish, they've got you covered.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Nomic Power Solutions. Protect your home, protect your family, stay ready. Southstar Bank has remained true to its Texas roots for over 100 years. A commitment to the people and communities they serve, along with flexible financial solutions, allow their clients to shine. Mortgage loans, checking accounts, or complete business solutions. Southstar Bank is your financial partner. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, built for Texas.
SouthstarBank.com. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. NMLS 410624. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This vibrant 55 and up community is located in Dripping Springs, just right outside of Austin. 1 and 2 bedroom homes, resort style amenities, and just steps away from shops and restaurants. Forget the yard work. This is your time to relax, make new friends, and enjoy the life you've dreamed of. Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. Live JoviBelterra.com 737-387-6870.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com. And now here's Steve and Michelle.
And we are back here with Elona Appleby with Monkees. She's a Monkees franchise owner. You tried to mess me up.
I was going to
did.
say Monkees.
Monkees?
Make you say it wrong.
You're just looking at you.
Welcome to the show, Elona.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, we're happy that you're here. I had actually not heard about your business until Michelle mentioned it to me. We did a little research on you, and she always does her deep dive, so we're excited to get to know you a little bit.
What do you mean you're not in the women's boutique?
I am not in the women's boutique fashion world, no.
That's like a dagger to my heart.
He's
with all
barely
the
in the
marketing money I'm
men's. He's
spending.
barely in the men's
This
fashion.
is LL Bean, which is just super high fashion, in case you didn't know.
That is the second time you've mentioned LL Bean today. And we
That's
should
my
probably
thing.
get sponsored by LL Bean or something
yes,
for sure.
please send
So
us a
you
check.
are located in the same shopping center as Garbo's, right there by the Preserve.
Yes.
And how long have you guys been there?
We opened November 8th of last year, but I had been eyeballing that center for, probably a year and a half before I even signed the franchise with Monkees. But as you know, the previous restaurant went out of business.
Yes.
And then when Garbo's came in, I thought to myself, oh, okay, we're back in business. And I met the owners and the store manager there, and they assured me they're doing great. And
The owners of Garbo's.
yeah, well,
Yeah.
I don't know if it was
shopping
the
center,
owners.
the-
I know that
Is it that guy Steve? that's from California?
Yes,
Yeah.
that owns it.
Yeah, he used to own the space over here that we used to lease from.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, before we built this
Apparently,
building.
he owns all kinds of strips
He
everywhere.
does, yeah,
in the
yeah,
United
that's his
States.
thing. I don't know if it's true, but I heard he made his money in Star Wars. He did something in Star Wars. He was special effects.
Oh, maybe I'm going to have to do
See
it.
if you get him on.
I'm going to
yeah.
have to do a little deep dive. So
he doesn't like me, so maybe he won't come on.
Who
Surprise!
does? Nobody likes you, Steve. I like you.
Yes. Let's back up a
Yeah,
little bit.
I believe that is true, though.
Yeah, I
Yes.
think that is true.
Yeah, yeah.
Not that he doesn't like me, but that he's from California. And
But his wife apparently heard that Monkees was going to open there, and she's the one that rooted for Monkees.
Oh.
Cool.
And I'm a big negotiator, so it worked out.
Oh, good. Oh, yeah, because he's pretty tough. So
Yes.
good for you.
Yeah.
Well, I want to back up a little bit. You grew up in Albania,
Yes,
which I had to look up on a map. It's just north of Greece. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah.
It's the gem of Europe.
The gem of Europe. Is that what they
Yeah.
call it? Is that because
But
it's real
don't tell
pretty?
anybody.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't tell
Because it'll get
anybody.
overrun
That's
with tourists.
and there you moved to Dripping Springs. So
So, and what you left there, I want to ask you about Albania, but how did you end up in the States from Albania?
So in 1996, I think it was, or no, 1995, that's when the Civil War erupted in Albania. And my family just applied to move to the United States. Total long shot. Nobody believed that it would ever happen. And sure enough, my mom got the paperwork that they were interested in letting us come and move to the United States. And they, unlike today,
yeah, how difficult.
they had to go through probably like a year and a half, 2 years of like extensive background checks.
Yeah.
Even while were they already here?
No.
Before they even
You were still in Albania.
Before you could even come here. So, it ended up working out, and my mother always wanted the opportunities, just like everybody else, of what the United States has to offer. So she left everything behind with my dad, and they moved here
And
when
so
I was 10.
did you just pack up your life, like suitcases, and just move on?
Yes. So when they moved here, we each had like a luggage and a half or 2 luggages.
Wow.
And nothing else.
The bravery that they must have felt, just kind of. Did you have any family here? Did you know anybody?
So my aunt was here at the time. She had just moved. She was married. So really just one aunt. That's all there.
Wow.
That, she just had her sister here. And we moved, and they didn't speak any English at all. So it was a true like immigrant story.
Where in the
shock.
States?
It was the first time was in New Jersey.
Okay.
And then we settled in Florida afterwards because in Albania we're from the coast.
Oh,
Yeah.
And my family was like,
yeah.
we don't want this
Not
snow.
going to live in New
So,
Jersey. Yeah.
Florida was the closest to the part of Albania we were
Yeah.
from. So they picked Florida, and that was home.
What did your folks do in Albania for a living?
So my dad was, he was into fishing. So he had a charter company
Okay.
at the time. And then, they lived a good life. They did well for at that time until the war broke, and then it was chaos after that. But my mom was a stay-at-home mom. She actually used to work, make rugs.
Oh,
like
yeah.
how they do it, like in Turkey, like
Oh,
the Turkish
really?
rugs.
Yeah.
So she was actually, she would create patterns for those rugs that you see, those big. And she knows how to read the patterns and make the rugs. I know, it's
Oh,
pretty
wow.
cool. Even to this day, I'm like, Mom, I'm going to buy you one of those machines, and
Yes.
I want you to make a rug, and we're going to sell it for $20,000. And she's like, do you know how long those things take?
That's pretty good. Did you have brothers and sisters that came with you? Or was it just you?
I have a brother that's 5 years younger than me. Yeah. So
So
Does
a
he remember
10-year-old.
much about it?
He does remember a lot about it, but he has been going back home a lot more often than I have. Although now that my kids are older, we're going a lot more.
So you have been back a number of times?
Oh yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
so you still have family there?
Oh yeah, we still have family in the capital and down the south where we're from.
Okay, and I don't know anything about it was a civil war?
The Civil War.
Okay, and what? So how long did that go on?
I mean, I think it lasted for like 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, and then there was repercussion because Albania was a communist country. I was born during the fall of the regime, actually.
Wow.
I like to tell everybody to thank me for that because I brought light into the world.
Do you have dual citizenship or do you?
I do.
You do. Mm-hmm. And so will your children be able to have dual citizenship
they could.
also?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's really cool. So I was doing some little fun facts about Albania because I really didn't know a lot about the country, and but I did kind of think it was fascinating. So
it is one of my favorites.
you call your country, and I'm going to butcher
Saranda.
Say it again.
Saranda.
Sarandam. Did I say it right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Which means land of the eagles?
Yeah.
Is that what it means?
Yes.
And so your flag is a double-headed eagle. That's pretty cool.
I didn't know
right?
that. No.
Okay. Yeah. So, and the Albanians nod. I was going to watch her do it, but now I could. They nod no and shake their head for yes.
Is that true?
Yes. It's very confusing. It's actually, it confuses me at this point because I've been gone for so long that,
So it's no, it's no, right?
Yeah.
And yes, maybe.
No, that's the way we do it.
Yes.
Yeah.
No, yes, and no.
No.
Okay, I'm going to get it wrong. Okay, what was the other one? Oh, the love of coffee is apparently crazy. It's like more cafes per capita than Italy.
Michelle, I'm so impressed.
I know.
Did your
Oh,
homework.
she knows how to do some stuff.
I love this.
But you're basically nobody until you've had at least 3 Turkish coffees by noon. So I mean that's the kind of
yes.
Are they super super strong?
There is did you just mention it or did I make it up in my head? But there's more coffee shops per capita.
Yes,
Yeah, like in Albania than anywhere in the world. I mean, these people, this is all they do.
Are you a big coffee drinker?
I am.
I'm not allowed to drink coffee. Steve doesn't let me drink coffee.
No,
around
it's
him.
dangerous.
It's very
bad things happen in the office.
It's very scary. One of the other things was about the hospitality that the Albanians have. It says it's very sacred. If you walk into an Albanian home, get ready to be fed like you're royalty, whether you're hungry or not. Refusing is not an option.
It is
Steve,
not.
that would be something that you and I
we would struggle with that.
What was the caveat one that I told you that blew, the famous person that was Albanian? Do you remember me telling you?
Remember.
Mother Teresa.
Oh,
Yes.
that's right. Yeah.
So
Did you know that?
I sure did.
I mean, would you think that they would know
yes,
that?
I guess I would. Yeah, if I
Who
was
else?
Albanian.
Dua Lipa is Albanian.
Is she really?
Rita Ora is Albanian.
I did not know that. I didn't know Dua Lipa was Albanian. I mean, I'm not of that age. I'm sure my daughter would probably know that,
Please,
but I just
please don't ask me if I know who that is.
Yeah, you probably don't.
I don't know who that
and
is.
you were mentioning it earlier. You have your own unique language. It says, with zero relation to any other, Albanian is its own linguistic branch. Basically, it's the Beyonce of Indo-European languages.
It's pretty amazing. I do love the Albanian language. And I'm so grateful to my mother and the rest of my family for not letting me forget it. Because there was a time where we didn't go back to Albania for a really long, many years. And no matter how much I spoke to my mom in English, she would respond in Albanian. And then my brother going back and forth so many times, he'd come home and we'd speak. It really is, but I think it's with every other language, being able to speak Albanian. Albanian is probably, it's the funniest language. Like there's stuff that my brother and I will die laughing. And my husband will look at us like, you two are stupid.
Does it follow any other country where if somebody else is speaking Greek, can you pick
Is it
up?
similar to any other language?
So that's funny because Greek, I when I was little, I grew up spending summers in Greece because I had family in Greece. I come from a really big family where we're probably in Egypt or China too. I don't know. I don't know. But Greek growing up there. So like I used to speak Greek as well.
Oh.
And I understand it some now. But it's different. Like every language, the way you think about the words and how you put them together and what's sarcastic in one language makes no sense in another. It's really fascinating to me. Yeah.
How's the economy in Albania doing now?
It is, well, it's been discovered.
Oh,
So-
a lot of tourists there now?
Yeah, it's been discovered, and all of Europe basically vacations in Albania because all the Americans vacation in the rest of Europe.
Yeah, in Greece,
Yes.
You
right?
saying we've ruined Europe for everybody else?
I'm not. No.
Well, speaking of vacations, when I was reading also about the bunkers and how they're everywhere, over 170,000 concrete bunkers were built during the communist rule, and now are some are now cafes, museums, and Airbnbs. That's pretty cool.
So the dictator at the time, he always believed that, they were an invasion away every single day. So they built bunkers everywhere. I mean, I remember as a little girl, and my grandmother lived in this little bay. And at the time it was like us and like two other families that had grandchildren. We were like the only grandchildren in the entire bay. And there was bunkers by the beach, and we would play in those bunkers.
So they weren't manned because they were.
No, they weren't manned. They were just it would be a total hazard here. You'd get,
It's like a
the whole
tree
country
house.
would get sued.
Yeah, so it wasn't it was a communist country, but it wasn't part of Russia. It was its own separate communist country with this dictator that ran it. Wow. It's so funny. I'd never heard anything about that history, but I'm glad they're doing better now after all that turmoil.
Oh yeah, no, they're pretty. I mean, the country is safe. Everybody asks like, is that safe? And I'm like, it's probably one of the safest countries in Europe. Yeah, and so many people don't even realize that.
Yeah, I bet that's true. I think
I'm not doing a good job at keeping it a secret.
Talk it down.
And now you aren't. So one of the other things that's pretty famous are the Albanian weddings. Did you have a over-the-top wedding?
I did not. No. It's not just weddings that they do over the top.
Everything's over the top.
Every party's over the top.
First birthday for your kid is over the top. First, holiday, first this, first that. Second birthday for your kid.
Jeez.
Third birthday. I mean, they like to celebrate a lot. When I got married young. It was either go down to Albania to have the kind of wedding that I wanted if I went that route. But no, I had a fabulous small wedding, American wedding on the beach, just like I wanted it.
Well, there you go.
Yeah.
So it was great. Yeah.
Tell me how you go from Albania to New Jersey to Florida. How'd you end up in Dripping Springs, Texas?
Well, I married a man.
Oh,
it's a long road to paradise.
On the beach, you married a man, and he came to Texas.
Yeah, and actually, he is in the waste industry.
Okay.
So we have lived in all over Florida. We've lived in Georgia. We've lived in Tennessee. We've lived in Arizona. And now here in Texas.
Is this home? Is this where you say you're gonna...
It's so funny because when we first moved out here, I remember I told our real estate agent, she was trying to talk Dripping Springs up so much. And she's like, you're going to love it here. And I looked at her and I said, listen, I'm going to need you to not try to talk this up for me because I'm here 4 years and I'm going back to Florida.
Oh, you didn't like it?
And I told my husband, I was like, you've got 4 more years out of me. You're going to either need a new wife or a new job because I'm not moving anywhere else. And then we moved here. The 4 years came and my husband's like, oh, we can go back to Florida now. We're done here or we can stay here, whatever you want. So we asked the kids what they wanted to do. And nobody wanted to move, including myself.
So why has it grown? What's changed that it's grown on you?
Florida is great. But every time I go back, when I come back here to Dripping, it feels home.
Yeah.
Like I come down that hill where you see that
Yes,
Dripping Springs.
that's exactly what I
And-
said.
the same.
And you know what? There is this sense of calm and safety that I feel here that I haven't felt anywhere else. And I've lived a lot of places. You know, we've traveled a lot of places, and I want to raise my kids here.
And your mom is here now too, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Which
Yes.
is nice. She
Yeah.
helps you run the store.
She does. Yeah. She is the biggest cheerleader of my life.
great.
I mean, her and obviously my husband as well, but her in particular, because to know her story, which is, gosh, like it could be a movie.
We may have to get her on the podcast, right?
Does she speak good English?
She does, yeah. But she's just the most positive person you can imagine.
Yeah.
Like even when I'm like, how can you look at the positive in that? She's like, she always finds the
That's
positive
the way my
in something.
sister Donna is. Yeah. She just, no matter what, she finds that silver lining.
The silver lining. And that's her. And sometimes I think to myself, okay, I'm just going to think like mom.
Yeah. in those tough times, you go, I'm just going to think like mom or think like Donna. So you got, how and when did you get into the fashion industry? Because you've been a designer, now you own this retail store. How did that all start?
So it started when we moved to Florida. We had just bought our second little house. And it was at the peak, so we made some money of our first house. We owned it for 6 months, and we thought we had made it.
You're rolling in it, yeah.
Yes. So we moved to Tampa, and I worked as a makeup artist for several major makeup brands. So I just traveled, and basically it was sales, but in makeup.
You got your feet
and
wet,
skincare.
though, in retail.
Yes, yeah. And it was, and I tell this story all the time because the makeup counters are usually right next to like the shoe department, or so it was Thanksgiving, and I'm sitting at that makeup counter, and I'm looking across the makeup counter, and I see two women, one on one side of the table and the other one on the other side. And they have this boot, and they're just fighting over this boot back and forth, like fighting over who's going to buy the boot. And I thought to myself, wow, I'm in the wrong business.
Never seen that fight with makeup,
No,
have you?
and I thought to myself, one day I'm going to design shoes. and hopefully one day somebody will fight over them. But that was just like a joke. I never even, dreamed of doing that. Then I had to, I didn't work after we decided to have children. So I was a stay-at-home mom. And I focused on that until 2014 when I was pregnant with my second one. And I knew that after that I have to be doing something.
Yeah. Right.
So that's when I did the research and decided, you know what, I'm going to design some shoes, and I'm going to learn everything there is to learn about.
Is there like a shoe university? Like,
I
where'd
was going
you?
to say, YouTube was
No,
just kind of
no.
new then, so it's not like you could get on YouTube.
I'll tell you what I did. I would go into these Italian, because I knew I wanted my shoes made in Italy, because I wanted to go to Italy.
Oh.
That's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Yes. And so I would go to these websites, Italian websites, and I would translate them, like the little toggle, like every website. And I turned I can't believe I'm saying this. I turned my entire dining room area into my office for my meetings.
Oh, geez.
Because I wanted them to think they were talking to the big boss,
Oh.
not some little girl in East Tennessee. And it worked out. I found a great factory, and we became great friends. They showed me all the ropes, and that James Carlton's is actually a combination of the names of both my boys.
That's the shoe shoe company that
James
you own. Some beautiful designs on here. I was reading, I don't know where I think it was another article that I was reading about you, that you have become so close to this family, this factory, that he checks on you, knows your kids. And
yes. Yeah. They're great people. They got, when COVID happened, they got hurt. They hurt.
Oh gosh.
Sure.
But doing the wholesale side of it was a lot more work than I want. It required more being gone from my children than what I wanted to do. So it defeated the purpose of
supplementing
the whole thing. So that's when I decided, well, I can still do this at a much smaller scale than what I was trying to accomplish at the time, and still be with my kids. But ultimately, I really wanted a little store. But we were moving so much that I needed to know where we were going to grow roots.
But your shoes are sold in different, like you were telling us earlier, that your shoes started out in a boutique in California. So you were selling these high-end fashion designed shoes in California. You're here in Tennessee. And so did you feel like...
It was wild. Like being able to sell $1,200 shoes with my kids' names on them in Corona Del Mar while I lived in East Tennessee was pretty awesome.
Have you ever seen your shoes like tagged in?
Yes, in magazines. Yeah.
Oh, that is so.
That's funny.
Yeah.
So are these designs your actual designs, or do they like make a bunch of different shoes and you pick which ones are yours?
They do. I mean, they make shoes for everybody, but the designs are mine. They have an in-house sketch artist that's incredible. And whatever vision I have, like, I'll sketch something, and like the jeweled shoes right there, I had sketched those. Those are real Swarovski crystals.
Oh, wow.
I had sketched those, and the designer there, he goes, well, your foot won't stay in there. So we got to do this and we got to do that. And I'm like, okay, well, that's fine. I just know what I like.
Yes.
I'm not,
You're the idea girl. Like, you figure it out.
Yes.
I do. Oh, look.
So.
Oh, wait. That's women's. So do you do any men's or only?
Just women's.
And I saw in here you had a spot for, maybe it was somewhere else, but you had a spot. Oh, there he is. For housewares. Did you have housewares at one point, or did you decide to go home decor?
I was going to do that, but when I turned my
focus on
monkeys. This took a pause, so this is still more wholesale.
Mm-hmm.
But you're selling them in your Monkee store.
Yeah. So speaking of that, so that I did the story I told you about the women fighting over the shoe. I had a complete moment in my store a few months ago. There was one pair of shoes left. They didn't fight. They were girlfriends, but I could hear them going, no, you get them. They look good on you. And then the other one was like, no, you get that. Apparently they had the same size feet. So they were going back and forth about the one. And I was like, wow. It was pretty cool.
That's a full circle kind of moment.
That was an anti-fight. It was like, no, you take them.
That's a Southern girl. Yeah. That's a Southern girl fight. And then your girlfriend wears them, and then you're like, oh, you're wearing my shoes. Yeah. Like I've done that before. My girlfriend bought a really cute blouse at the Houston Rodeo. It was the only size, and I was like, oh. And I saw her carrying it around, and I just kept waiting to put it down. Yeah. And I was like, I'm grabbing that, and she walks right up, and then I was like, darn it.
We've all been there.
Darn it, for sure. I want to know.
I've not been there.
You have not been there.
You haven't been there.
I've not been there. I want to ask you what your biggest challenge has been opening the store.
Oh, gosh. We're going to go there.
We jump right in.
The city of Dripping Springs is not very business friendly. Small business
like getting permits for the construction.
You are not the first person we have heard say that. I mean, it has been a difficult road for a lot of people.
And that's that's a shame because it shouldn't be like that.
Why do you think that is? Do you think it's just inexperience? Do you think they're not? I mean, we're growing so fast.
Bureaucracy. They hire people for those jobs and they take those jobs very seriously, and that just adds a layer of complexity.
Suck it up because we need to stick to our small town, right?
But you were just building the inside of the store out. You're not doing anything on the outside, right?
No,
maybe a sign.
It was the sign, but everything needs a permit,
right?
And they had to come out twice. And let me tell you, I have the best builder building my store, and they had to come out twice, or they were out of town for 2 weeks, and then they had to do other. We were down the list, and when you're a small business owner,
time is money.
Time is money. Mm-hmm. I was delayed 2 months that I had to basically pay rent for 2 months because the guy was on vacation and he couldn't come out.
People that work, this is not disparaging the city, but people that work in city type jobs or bureaucratic type jobs, they don't understand that us business owners, that every day costs us money. To them, it's just another day, it's like another paycheck. But to us, it can cost us thousands and thousands of dollars for those delays. I think if they understood that, they'd be a little more proactive.
I learned a lot about that through watching Bill and Michelle over at Pigpen. Just delay after delay after delay. So, maybe we need to get it together a little bit.
Yeah, we need to get Bill Folds back in here, the mayor. I think they hired an inspector that works for the city. It used to be a third-party company, and that typically from what I've seen, when they're an employee, it doesn't work as well as if it's a third-party company that only does inspections, because they're not invested in it at all. It's just a job to do, and they show up and they get it done. Yeah. Where the city makes you jump through a few more hoops. But.
Well, when we go back to the store now, and so now you're running Monkees, and you've have rave reviews. People all over Dripping Springs love it, talk about it. I see a lot of the outfits around town. I think actually my pastor's wife was wearing a dress from your store I
love that.
On Easter Sunday. But one of the things that I wanted to ask you was, what is the trick to putting yourself together, to looking put together when you're putting together an outfit? Or if someone comes into your store and they have no idea what they're talking about, or like if Steve's wanting to buy an outfit for his wife and he's like, I could totally see him doing this. He's like, well, she's kind of about this size. She's about this tall.
She comes up to here. She's about that thin.
So, I guess that's a twofold question is like, what's the trick to putting your outfit together? And how do you help a clueless man like
Do you have
Steve?
Clueless men come in and go, I want to buy my wife something or my girlfriend something?
We do, and we never try to guess anybody's size because we don't want the husband to get in trouble. Yeah. Because
I could see that. I could totally see that.
You could go wrong both ways.
Yes, you could. So, yes, you could.
When we do get that, we try to focus on jewelry and stuff that will work.
There you go.
But at Monkees, we keep track of everything every customer has bought. So we know, if your wife has been in the store and she has bought even like a single dress from us, we will immediately know what size she is. Or especially if it's a repeat customer and we can see, because we have photos, like we could see everything that we saw in that store just by pulling her name up, and we can pretty much tell what her style is by seeing what she has bought in the past.
But if someone's walking in now, so now, it's me, I'm walking in and I'm like, I'm going to tell you about an event that I'm going to, whatever it is, a grand opening or chamber event or something like that. And so are you kind of asking those questions? Like, what are you buying this for?
Yes, absolutely. Okay. So the first thing when they come in, if they are looking for a dress for a particular event, what I like to do is I always tell them, well, why don't you take a few minutes by yourself, go around the store, and I can pretty much tell what their style is by what they're picking.
What they're picking up and looking at.
Yes. Yeah. So that helps me go, oh, okay, so she likes the fit of this, or she likes the pattern, or the color. So she's not afraid of color. So I'm going to show her this. So that makes it easier. I think that's something that we all do now in the store. But that's not to say that we don't suggest
something that would be out of their comfort zone.
Out of that comfort zone, because once we know every style, every dress, how it fits, which designer clothes run bigger than most, which one runs smaller than most. So we've only been in business now for 5 months, but even in this short time, we know every piece of product we have in the store and how it's going to fit on a certain body, which is pretty cool.
I think that sort of customized shopping experience is huge, and it makes it, because it is a little more expensive than going to, like a department store. But that finding something that maybe is a little out of your comfort zone, but looks good on you, makes you feel better, and somebody can suggest things. You go into a department store, you're pretty much on your own.
Well, nobody's paying attention to
you.
Right.
Yeah. Fashion's always been kind of interesting to me. When I was growing up, I always thought fashion was this thing that somebody would wear something and other people would look at it and go, oh, that's really cool. But then as I got older, I've realized fashion is actually something that it's like these companies get together and kind of decide this is what's going to be fashionable. Is that what you see in the fashion world?
Well, when we go to these markets, yes. Like I know, because I was just at market, and I know which one's going to be the color of the,
2026.
fall.
Because you're having to buy, you buy now for...
I've already bought for fall, yeah. So the only thing that I have left to buy is maybe more dresses for late November, December. But yeah, so... you kind of get an idea of what's going to be trending.
Is supposed to be.
Yes.
That was kind of what I was getting to. I feel like there's a difference between fashion and trendy.
Yes.
Fashion. I feel like fashion is something more that is a little more timeless, has a little more length. And trendy is like maybe it's only popular for a month or two.
Well, that's the fast fashion is kind of what they're talking about, where the Forever 21s, the H&M, that's just kind of the fast, it's not going to really...
But what I am proud of with Monkees as a franchise, and, we're all individually owned, so I decide what brands I want to carry, and you guys have heard what's happening with the tariffs, and talk about being a small business owner, and you've already purchased...
inventory,
$200,000 worth of inventory, and now you're getting emails saying, "Oh yeah, by the way, the prices are going to go up by 5%."
So are you waiting?
Or some by 20%?
Yeah.
And you have to pivot and adjust.
Okay.
So you either have to go back to those orders and cut them down, or cancel some altogether. But
then you don't have inventory to sell. So it's a double-edged sword.
Yeah. So it's a lot. Like it's not. Most people think that it's just a fashion boutique and it looks fun on Instagram. But I always joke that I started a business thinking I was going to be doing something. I do all the work that I didn't want to do.
Yeah. Well, when you're a small business owner, you're the accountant. You stock the shelves. You're the salesperson. You run the cash register. You're the therapist. You're HR. You're all of that.
And you can't blame anybody else.
You're the captain of the ship. Yeah. So does Monkees? So you set us up. You set your orders up. So for fall, and they ship you all that stuff. Do they give you like an extended period of time to pay for it, or are you paying for that stuff up front? I
buy directly from my vendors, not through Monkees. Monkees has nothing to do with.
What's the advantage of being a Monkees?
The name. They. So the lady that started the store. Brilliant woman, obviously. She did what I used to do with makeup. I used to travel all over the state of Florida, and she used to sell, I believe, sunglasses. And she just got tired of traveling, and she said, I just want to open a store. I'm going to open a store. I'm going to raise my 2 little monkeys. And so that's how Monkees started. So she opened her store, and then her best friend, which lived a couple hours away, it did so well. Her best friend was like, "Hey, let's franchise it." And I want to copy and paste the same thing here. And that's how it started, and now it's up to late. But it is an East Coast store.
Yes,
There's only 5 stores here.
People were very excited when it
Yes.
was coming here to Drip because
But
they've
it's
heard
got
about
a
it.
huge following. The name, like as a buyer, a new boutique owner, it would be really hard for me because believe me, I thought about doing it on my own, but having the Monkee's name behind you. I could carry whatever brand I want.
It makes you more of a destination than just somebody happening to come by.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah. So if you're buying directly from the manufacturer or the clothing company, what does Monkee's actually give you besides the name?
So they have a great marketing. I mean, they're when you first open the store, they're amazing in the fact that they want you to succeed. So. Okay. When you make that first buy, which is very, overwhelming, especially for me here. I mean, I didn't know. I was going on a guess.
Right.
And Monkee's being an East Coast store, mostly all those stores are a little bit more preppier than here. We're not very preppy here.
Yeah. Central Texas is a little.
Yeah. So
more bohemian lifestyle here.
Yeah.
Especially
I'll tell you what though, we're fancy.
I agree with that.
We are expensive.
We're bougie.
We're bougie.
Well, I mean,
people get surprised when I say that, but I'm telling you, it's been very interesting seeing what these women want.
Dripping Springs is a very affluent community.
Yes.
There's a lot of money here. You kind of don't see it sometimes, but we're very wealthy compared to other parts of Texas.
I was wondering because I know that there are certain stores are you following not only the fashion trends, but are you also following the geographic events that are going on? So, like here in Texas, there's rodeo season. So now you're going to have to think for next year, I need to start buying more things rodeo season-esque.
Yes.
Or especially here in Drip, there's the UT games. Okay. I mean, there was a time where I was like, I knew I was going to a UT game on a Saturday, and a Friday I was frantically going up and down Mercer Street trying to find something to wear to the UT game.
So last year I made a couple of shirts that were made just for our store. So nobody else in the area could use the same shirt or design. And I thought, I've got plenty. I have plenty. We sold out of 3 styles. I think I had like 25 shirts of each style. And so we were delayed opening. We opened November 8th. So between November 8th and January, we sold every single one of those
was it
3 styles.
Something to do with Dripping Springs?
Yeah. Like the burnt orange, the football.
Okay.
So that's not happening this fall. You should just wait and see what I got coming. Yeah. So there's no more running up and down if you can't find something. You're going to be able to find something at Monkee's.
One-stop shop for sure.
Yeah. So I think you have to be really creative now in retail, don't you? It's not, you can't just open the store and say, we're here from 10 to 6, Monday through Friday.
Social media game too.
Yeah. So what are you doing to be creative to promote your store?
Social media. Yeah. People want to see, they don't want to just see a pretty picture. They want to see who's behind you, the company. They want to see you wearing the clothes.
How the sausage is made.
Yeah.
We talk about that.
Yeah, we talk about that.
They want to see all of that, but they want to see it at speed, record speed.
Yeah.
So if you're taking a minute to show them something, that's too long.
Did Monkee's help you with the social media aspect of things, or did you figure that out on your own?
No, I do all the social media on my own, but again, I'm a serial entrepreneur. Okay. Yeah. So in the time we moved here, I started Explore DSTX Media Group.
Yes.
So I did marketing for some local businesses.
Okay.
And
she was highlighting local businesses.
Yeah, during that time, I would sporadically just put polls out, what is missing in Dripping Springs. And in my head, I mean, I already knew what I wanted to open, but I wanted that reassurance. And over again, I would get a nice boutique. There's plenty of boutiques, you know, like they're all great. I shop at all of them. There's room for everybody. And the one thing that I kept getting back and forth was, we want a nicer boutique where we can get a nice dress for church, for a wedding. I mean, we live in the, you know, wedding capital of Texas. Yeah. And there wasn't a boutique where these women could come and shop for dresses. So that's another one that we are doing very well with.
Wedding type dresses.
Yes,
I could see that, because anytime you needed something like that in the past, you got to drive into Austin somewhere to find that. Yeah. If you need like a sundress or a T-shirt or something.
But a casual dress is fine. But imagine, I mean, we're the wedding capital of Texas, and imagine coming here for a wedding and you're like, oh no, I left my dress.
Or my Spanx.
Or something. Yes, or my Spanx or something last minute. You know, these are...
Never had that thought.
first world problems, but it's serious.
No, it is. It is. And you would be amazed at how many women show up to the store and they're like, oh, they'll come in on a Thursday or Friday or like a Friday and the wedding is on Saturday, and they'll go, I have a wedding Saturday at Camp Lucy, and I don't have a dress.
Oh, God.
And I'm thinking, what?
So did they forget, or they planned to come here?
They planned to come and buy the dress at Monkee's. So,
there you go. That works out for you.
So the expectations are very high.
That works for you.
Either that, or you're just going to get what you get, whatever's on the shelf.
You get what you get, and you don't throw a fit, right?
You mentioned in your bio something about body dysmorphia, and I wanted to ask you about that. You said we asked you about interesting topics in your work life, and you put body dysmorphia and women fashion trends. What do you mean by bodies? I know what body dysmorphia is, but what do you mean by that as far as how it's impacting you?
So I, you know, just like, you know, we live in a world where it's, you know, filled with perfect images, filtered, completely changed. You know, when you see somebody and they don't look like they do on their social media, you know that.
Just talking about this yesterday.
Yes.
Exactly. Just talking about this.
So we are so bombarded with perfection all the time that one thing that I have noticed that genuinely makes me sad is I will get women in the store and they do not see what I see and how beautiful they look in something. Some tend to pick themselves so much apart that I'm like, where do I go? Like, how do I put you all back together so that you could see even half of what, not just me, but all the other girls are seeing? That's one thing that I think just hopefully Monkees can help change that.
I hope so. I had this experience. I took a group shot with a group of women, and I'll be 55 this year. I never use a filter, like unless somebody else uses a filter, but I never use a filter. Sorry, what you see is what you get with me. And a lot of these women are just constantly over filtered. I'm not bagging them for it, but at some point you got to realize that that's your face, that's your body, that's your life, and you are missing out on so much if you're so concerned about putting this fuzzy filter on your face. It's like, you are beautiful where you are. And I've always kind of felt like I need to love the size I'm in, whatever that is, and dress for the size I'm in.
I can tell you women are a lot harder on other women than men are on women.
Yes.
I see women of all shapes and all sizes, and I think, man, that's a beautiful woman.
I doubt you ever go, wow, I wish she had longer lashes.
No, I never
doubt
did.
it.
No, it's
It's probably like, what's that on their eyeballs?
But no, my point is that men see women completely differently, obviously, but women, they're very hard on themselves, and I think they're very hard on each other.
Yeah.
And
I think they're harder on themselves. I mean, I've been guilty of that, and I think it's sad because we look at what it's doing to our young women, and I think social media has played such a big part about it. It's like you got to look perfect all the time. And it's like, it's just, you're never going to look perfect.
Well, and what was considered perfect 50 years ago is not considered perfect now compared to 50 years ago is like perfect times 10.
Yeah.
You know? Like if you look at some of the women that were considered beautiful in the 50s and 60s, they're nothing like what we see now.
What do they
that would
say?
be considered
Marilyn
perfect.
Monroe was like a size 12, size 14, something like that.
Yeah. She had a tummy when she sat down, like a normal person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's,
But
it is kind of crazy.
so that's the one thing that I didn't realize was going to be as
A factor into it.
big of a factor.
Positive
but
body
I have to say
reinforcement.
that I love doing what I do, not just to sell a dress or, to do a video on Instagram or I absolutely love when I get a woman in the store. And there's been several of these occasions that it has happened, and they leave in tears of happiness. I'm telling you. And like, to me, that's how I know that I'm doing something I love, because that is so fulfilling to me, that they come in the store, they look completely like they're just defeated. I hate everything that I have in my closet. Please help me. You tell me what looks good on me, because I don't know.
Yeah.
And I don't want to say those are my favorite, because they're not, but they're my favorite in the sense that if I get to help another woman feel that good when they leave and that happy, that like is so soul fulfilling.
And that's a good day.
That's a good day.
That's a good day. How are you guys, and Monkees, I kind of see you all around, but how are you guys giving back to the community?
We, so when we first moved here, when I started James Carlton's, proceeds to that went to children's charities. We always donated. And then we moved here, and then I heard about Foster Village.
Yes.
And immediately I knew that was my cause. My husband was adopted when he was a child. His sister was adopted. We've thought about adopting. So it's something that's dear to me. And Foster Village is one way that is.
They're doing great work.
Amazing. And that's knowing that she was just a mom.
We had him on the podcast very early on when we first started the podcast, and
Crystal.
to hear to start her story, how it started, and how now it's, I guess, copied all over the United States, which is just amazing.
Yeah, it started right here in Dripping Springs.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Ilana, you mentioned that on your bio that the state of our country that your kids are growing up in is something that concerns you sometimes. What do you mean by that?
I think with my past experience and, being born in a communist country and knowing what that entails, hearing the stories of my grandfather and grandmother and my mom, which it's not that long ago, and what they had to go through, freedom to me is very important and something that I'm never going to shy away from defending.
Yeah.
So I'm concerned about everything. Like there's so much anger and hatred all around in our world right now that it concerns me about my kids and their future and their mental state and what, how it's going to affect them in the long run.
I've often wondered how much of that is the media shining a negative light on something that's the minority feeling, and that the majority of us are truly wanting to get along and breaking bread with people. And the media, they thrive off the negativity and the toxic side of it.
Yeah, finding that one little example of the worst type of humanity and playing it over and over. Michelle and I had lunch with a client yesterday who they have completely different political beliefs than we do, and we had the greatest time with them,
and we just adore
and
them.
They like us, and we
they
love
know
them,
they know that we're on different sides.
I was like, God, we need a little more of that in the country, don't we?
But there is a lot of that. But like you said, Michelle, that doesn't gain attention.
That doesn't make
it doesn't.
Yeah, I'm a believer of free thinking. And, even though if I don't agree with you on some aspects of what you believe, I can respect parts of it.
You're going to listen to
or I'm
it.
going to listen to.
Yeah.
I'm going to listen to your side of the story, and then I'm going to tell you why I believe what I believe, because my path, my road to where the beliefs that I came to today is completely different than yours or your,
Yep.
So I think that's what we've lost along the way.
That's where I have always come from, that understanding as well.
And I've learned more from somebody with a different point of view than I learned from somebody that has the exact same point of view as me. So, sometimes I think I'll hear their point of view and I'll think that's absolutely wrong, and that's okay. But sometimes they say something and I go, dang, I never thought about it that way. It might open up some different thought about things that I had never pondered before.
Well, I have a kind of a feel-good, kind of weird story that you're going to be, I don't know.
I know. I can't wait to hear
it.
about
It may freak
this.
you out. Okay, so like I said, I'm kind of a little stalker on social media.
I know. You friended me on Facebook, and I was like, I'll let her do some stalking.
Yeah. No, this was outside of Facebook.
Okay.
It was outside of Facebook. So I read a story about your brother-in-law that was stuck in the Bahamas during the hurricane, and you and your husband had a GoFundMe account for the victims. And deep within the story, so then I Googled his name and I started following him. And deep within the story, I came across it where it said the Coast Guard rescue swimmers came to him and he was helping people. And they said, we're really sorry, but we don't have any room on the helicopters. And he's like, well, when am I going to be rescued? I'm basically paraphrasing. When am I going to be rescued? Well, you're able-bodied, and we have to help those that can't help themselves right now. And he's like, when are you going to come back? We don't know. They flew off. My son was a rescue swimmer in the Bahamas during the hurricane. And I told Steve, so it was the Miami station that handled the Bahamas. And he came out of Puerto Rico. His station was out of Puerto Rico. But he did go to the Bahamas several times. But then there was some point he got stuck at Turks and Caicos. And Steve and I were laughing. He was
on the government dime.
For 3 days. And they were in their flight suits and they were enjoying the spa or whatever because the resort put them up. And I thought, how funny is it? I was like, I can't promise you that it wasn't not only my son or one of my Coast Guard sons.
I'm sure.
But I just thought it was such a funny little kind of path
it could
that
have been
crossed.
Tate standing at the door going, no, sir, you're able-bodied. You cannot get on this helicopter.
That was such a wild time. We had just moved to Dripping that July.
That's right.
That July.
Yeah, that's when it happened. It was
so September 1st is when the hurricane was coming. And it wasn't even supposed to go where, so my in-laws actually have lived in the island for, gosh, I don't know, like 50 years, since they were very, very young. So they're from Florida, like that. They've been going back and forth, with the big fishermen's. So they own the Marsh Harbor Marina and Jib Room Restaurant in the Apicos, and my brother-in-law moved out there. So when the hurricane was coming, I mean, we're used to hurricanes, but this one was, I'm like, I think you should leave. I think you should leave. And September 1st, we did not hear from my brother-in-law for 2 days. I mean, we just assumed that he was dead.
the worst.
The worst. Finally, when we did hear from him through the satellite phone, his entire house. So his house was just right around the corner from my in-laws' house. When my in-laws' house built the house, their house, it was supposed to sustain Category 5, everything. So his house, he made the last minute decision to leave his house and go to the in-laws' house, to his parents' house. So his house was complete, the ocean completely. There was nothing left except even the foundation was almost ripped up.
Oh my gosh.
So had he stayed there, he would have been
Certainly
dead.
dead, yeah.
So they go to my in-laws' house, and they had built like a safe room. So there was a big rock in the house, and they had built like a safe room around that rock. And that's where he spent 3 nights. So when the eye came and they had a little bit of time, he rushes, goes to the neighbor. I mean, like pretty incredible stuff, basically rescues a couple and then rescues the older man.
Jeez.
So the older man is the one that they took.
That they took.
Yes. And they just hunkered down. At one point, the wind pulled that door, and they were stuck there for.
That's so crazy. It's
so
you feel so powerless.
I
in
got
those
pictures of
situations.
the devastation from Tate. I think he didn't FaceTime me. I think it was just pictures because they didn't have a lot of service and just the flyover. And they didn't have any safe space to land. And they also were afraid to land because they wouldn't be able to refuel. And those helicopters are only allowed to be up for so long.
But just, I'm going to make this quick. So we had, just moved here. That happens. And I'm thinking, I felt so helpless because you got to remember, my in-laws have been going there for many, many years. My husband has been going there since he was like a child. And I've been going there for the past 20 something years. So we know these people, like they're not strangers.
Right.
They've seen my kids grow. So I'm sitting here in Dripping Springs and I'm like, what can I do and how can I help? So I started that GoFundMe. And when I tell you, that was the most humbling, I almost feel like it did more for me than it did for them.
Huh.
Because I was able to coordinate from Dripping Springs, breweries, local businesses in Jacksonville, Florida. And within 2 weeks, I was able to raise $50,000.
Wow.
Jeez.
And 3 semis full of goods that went to the islands.
That's amazing.
That's crazy.
And it was all organized from here.
Wow.
But it
See,
was
that story turned out way better than I thought it was going to turn out. Look at that.
So, when there's a will, there's a way.
Sure.
And people, there's more generous people out in this world than there's not.
100%.
So
100%.
And I've seen that with my GoFundMe, and then I've seen that with Foster Village.
Yes.
Their gala was like they blew it out of the water last time.
This town, when there's a need, this town turns out like everybody wants to help. Everybody wants to give. Everybody wants to participate. It's amazing.
It really is.
How great this town is.
And that was one of the reasons why I chose to make it home is because I've seen how this town comes together. Yes, Dripping Springs neighbors. There's
It's
there's
not really
a little bit of this and that,
but it's not really indicative of who we are as a town.
No.
You're always going to have the nut jobs. Well,
how can people find out more about the store?
Well, just stop by. Stop by the store. We're right there at the Windmill Center, right next to Garbo's. It's right here in Dripping Springs. That was one thing that I didn't want it in Belterra. I didn't want it in Bee Cave. I wanted to be in Dripping Springs, and it's right here. You don't have to go anywhere.
I'm going to bring my wife in. I wish she had men's stuff, but I'll bring my wife over. A lot of the stuff that I saw on your website, I was like, wow, Holly would look really cute in that.
Well, you already look like a monkey. That's why.
Well,
Yes,
we
I've
are
been
missing
told.
a nice men's store, are we?
Yeah, we are. Yeah, well, you probably could. Maybe you could help with that, Alana. That would be great. I had to drive all the way in Austin to get a suit yesterday.
Yeah.
Well, I have just a couple of really rapid fire questions for you right now. So, your favorite slang in Albanian?
Oh God, favorite in Albanian?
Yeah.
Let's go. Hajde.
Hajde?
Hajde.
Let's go.
Hajde. Okay. Hajde.
No curse words.
You're right. Designer you would like to meet, living or dead?
I know this is cheesy, but Ralph Lauren.
Oh, well, maybe one day you'll.
Is Ralph Lauren still alive?
Yes, he is.
He is.
Okay, I'm just.
My time
I don't know.
is running out.
Yes.
Steve and his
never know. You
lack
never
of
know.
alive
Yeah.
people. Do you own a pair of Crocs?
Absolutely not.
Oh, good. Yeah, me neither.
You
neither.
that's so funny you asked me that
Me neither.
because I saw a meme where it's like, well, at least I don't own any Crocs or something.
I feel like
yeah, and I thought
if you're wearing them at home, maybe, but if you're going out in public in those, you've just given up. There's you're not worried about fashion on any level.
On any level.
But I do have 2 boys that love Crocs.
Well, there you go.
Well,
At least
but
you
when
don't have them.
When you're
And
kids,
I may or may not have slipped my feet in them in the backyard.
Yeah.
But I'm not nowhere.
On that note, heels or sneakers on weekends?
Ooh.
You're going to have to wear sneakers this weekend because it's going to be a long weekend.
Yeah,
Is this
I do love me a pair of sneakers.
And my last question is, what is your favorite fashion era?
Oh gosh.
If you could go back.
If I could go back, I always tell all my friends and my husband, I'm going to come back in the 1920s as a rich girl with pearls everywhere and like with the hair and all that.
It'd take you 4 hours to get ready to go out. And they got ready to go out. Whenever they go to the grocery store, they got like fixed up, right? If they were flying, it looked like they were going to a wedding.
Well, they had 3 outfits back then too. You know, I also read that Albanians are famously private when I was telling Steve this, but instead it's ironic considering they'll ask you deeply personal questions within 30 seconds of meeting you. And I want to say you have opened yourself so much. We've learned so much about your home country and why you've chosen to make Dripping Springs your home. And we're really honored that you got to spend your afternoon with us.
You want to say something in Albanian to our listeners?
Oh gosh, no.
How about goodbye?
Miropavshim.
There you go.
It's not even a goodbye. That's the irony of it all. So the word itself means until we see each other again. There is no goodbye. Mir upavshim. So
I can't even attempt it.
Yeah.
Mirupapkshin. Well, thank you, Ilana. It's been really
so
fun.
much,
I told you you were going to sit down and
Yeah.
just enjoy it and not be nervous, and you did great.
No, not at all. I'd love to come back.
We'd love it.
Well, it's been fun. We need to make a field trip over to the store
That's true.
just to check it out.
Yes.
So, well, thank you
guys
very much
for having
for your
me.
time.
I appreciate it.
Our pleasure.
Find your joy at Jovi Belterra. Life is better here. This thoughtfully designed 55-plus community is paired with resort-style amenities and social activities. They offer 1- and 2-bedroom homes located in Dripping Springs, the gateway to the Hill Country. Make friends, make memories, make time for you at Jovi Belterra. Live JoviBelterra.com, 737-387-6870.
From rodeo clowns, teachers or doctors, and everyone in between, Texans have one thing in common. Hard work deserves smart banking. At Southstar Bank, whether you're buying your first home, building a dream ranch, or just managing daily finances, our 16 branches across Central Texas are here for you. Southstar Bank, trusted by professionals, backed by tradition, and built for Texas. SouthstarBank.com, member FDIC, an equal housing lender, NMLS 410624.
Nomic Power Solutions, keeping you powered up.
Get to know your local full-service Generac dealer.
Cody and Dylan with Nomic Power Solutions are a veteran-owned, Texas-based Generac dealer and installer.
Offering low monthly payment options, it's never been easier to gain independence from the grid.
Call or text 512-387-4232 or visit nomicpower.com. Follow on Instagram at Nomic Power for updates.
Turnkey service including design, plumbing, electrical, and permits.
They even offer set-it-and-forget-it maintenance plans. Nomic Power Solutions.
Protect your home. Protect your family. Stay ready.
This show is brought to you in part by the Mallet Integrity Team, serving Dripping Springs, Austin, and the surrounding areas of Central Texas since 2004. When you need the best real estate advice and service, give them a call at 512-829-2062 or email them at malletintegrityteam.com.
You know you like us, so go now to Apple Podcast or Spotify and leave us a review. Why don't ya? We love your feedback and comments. Email us at malletandmichelle@gmail.com.
Thanks for putting up with us.